Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Average Joe, the series where I'll be taking a look at a vehicle and telling you whether or not I believe it's worth the average player's time, or in this case, their sanity, I mean money. In this episode we'll be looking at the J35A, a rank 6, 9.7 battle rating premium fighter jet in the Swedish air tech tree. Now before we start talking about flight characteristics or weaponry, I just want to say that this vehicle is not always available for purchase, however during the maiden flight anniversary of the vehicle you can usually pick it up. With that out of the way, let's jump into what this aircraft is capable of, starting with the weaponry. The J35A is armed with two 30mm cannons, each being mounted about a third of the way down each wing. Now these guns have very good damage and will usually one-shot anything that you hit, but they are also plagued with a lot of downsides, the most noteworthy one being the fact that because you're a Swedish aircraft, you don't have any tracers to speak of. So if you're not good with leading your shots and just taking a general guess at how far ahead you have to aim, you're probably not going to be getting many kills with these guns. Another big downside is that you only have a grand total of 200 rounds between your two guns, which isn't all that bad. However, when you realize the fact that you're probably going to have to spray a bit at your targets because of how hard these guns are to hit, you're probably going to be running out of ammo before you run out of anything else. To go with that, your guns also have really bad velocity, so yeah, it doesn't make hitting your shots any easier. Overall, these guns are very hard to use, but if you can get good with them, they are going to likely one-shot everything that you hit, and if it doesn't immediately one-shot, it's probably going to cripple whatever they hit. Moving on to secondary weapons, the J35A also isn't really doing all too well here as well, with you really only having a few options of secondaries. Either you can bring 4 RB-24s, which are basically reskinned AIM-9Bs, you can bring 12 rockets, or you can bring 2 missiles and 12 rockets. This is the one that I do because, well, the J35A also doesn't carry any flares. So those rockets are the closest thing you're gonna get to flares. Moving on to flight characteristics, first off, your fuel is very limited and you drink it very quickly. So it is worth noting that you're probably gonna be sitting at half afterburner quite often in this thing unless you are in the middle of a fight. With that though, your acceleration isn't terrible. And considering you're a delta wing, you're going to be losing speed very quickly. It's nice to have decent acceleration. Now your top speed could definitely be better. It's definitely not the worst in the game by any means, however you're not going to be outracing MiG-21s or F-104s or anything like that. You can pretty comfortably sit around Mach 1 on the deck with ordnance, and you can get up to about 1.1, 1.12 without ordnance. Unfortunately though, at those high speeds, your controls are going to compress very, very quickly. Really, anything above 900 kilometers an hour and your controls are going to compress to a point where turning is all but out of the question. However, below 900 kilometers an hour, your turning is very good, meaning that so long as you have the energy to burn, you can likely turn inside of somebody's turning circle and get a free shot in, but that's the problem. You need to have the energy to burn. If you don't, you're just going to lose all of your speed and be left out to dry, waiting for somebody to come and clean you up in the middle of your fight. Really, your best bet in the J35A is to either try in third-party fights against people that have no energy, or to try and 1v1 dogfight people away from the main fight that also have very bad energy retention, because otherwise they're eventually just going to beat you in a rate fight because the fact that their energy retention is most likely better than yours. Really, the only effective way to guarantee a win in the J35A against other aircraft is to win the fight in the first 30 seconds or so, otherwise you're basically dead in the water. Moving on to some miscellaneous stuff, like I said earlier in the video, you do not have flares in this thing. You do, however, have rockets, so really, your best bet is to try and pre-flare by firing rockets at people that have all-aspect missiles. Otherwise, all-aspect missiles are just going to tear you apart. Really, the only way that you're going to be able to fight stuff like A-10s or Su-25s is to spam your rockets at them in a head-on, and then try and turn fight them because you will turn better than them. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is your battle rating. The battle rating of the J35A is pretty abysmal. You're going to be getting full up tiers constantly, and even if you're not getting full up tiers, the slightest up tier means that you're dealing with all-aspect missiles in a flareless aircraft. So, good luck, I guess. Overall, the J35A is a very, very unfriendly aircraft to new players, and very hard to learn. If you can get good with it, its guns are going to be able to absolutely delete anything out of the sky. But that's the problem. You have to get good with them. So overall, it's just not that good unless you already have a lot of experience in these types of aircraft. But if you already have experience in these types of aircraft, you're probably past the point where buying this thing would even be useful to you. With all that out of the way, let's talk about whether or not I believe the aircraft is worth it. So first off, the aircraft is around 9,000 Golden Eagles. I don't remember the exact price, and I can't find it online because of the fact that the vehicle used to be a pack premium, but it's not anymore, and I just cannot find the price that it sells for now in Golden Eagles, and I just flat out don't remember it. Do I believe it's worth that price? No, not a chance. This aircraft is not good. It's very fun if you get good with it, but it's not good. The J35XS will cost you a little bit more, and that can research the whole tech tree without penalty. This can't, and it actually gets good missiles, and it gets flares. So just don't buy this. Buy that. With all that out of the way, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please let me know in the comments if there's any vehicles you'd like to see in the future. Have a good one.